Currently there is a moon partly in front of the sun. Today is eclipse day. Welcome to a new video, everyone. I'm gonna take and run over and just pop over by some wheat quick and see how that's looking. Got it spread with fertilizer before a couple weeks ago. Last week was just really cold and crappy. We had a few inches of snow. It's all around kind of a crappy week, so just didn't get a whole lot done. We're in for what it said, it's like in between 80 and 90% coverage, but looking through welding mask up on there, it's more like 50, not even. This is it. This is all we have for wheat. So I consider this all one field. There's just the trail that goes in between up there and here, just to get up onto, the other side of the ditch here. But this stuff actually looks really good. It's a lot more green than it was last year. Granted, we were actually able to get out here earlier to spread our fertility, but it was a lot earlier that we got our fertility spread out on here, and then we did catch a rain this week, so that lined up good. So now I'm sure this is starting to feed off of the nitrogen. It's looking really good. It's looking a lot better than it started off last year. I couldn't really complain with yields last year at all for wheat. It was probably one of our better wheat years. So it'll be interesting to see how it does this year. Yeah, but last week we got probably between 3 and 4 inches of rain, well, moisture in general, because we did get snow. We got 4 inches of snow. It was a wet, heavy snow, so there was a lot of moisture in with that. So now we're focusing on getting stuff wrapped up and ready for planting. The planter, a couple things to do to it yet, and then the sprayer, we got to get the rest of the stuff hooked up for the Symphony, and then obviously the vertical till, which that should be getting done this week. But I'm kind of saying that it's going to be getting done. We keep finding things wrong, so something I wanted to do last week, but it was just too cold and it was raining all the time. I haven't seen water like that in this ditch for a long time, so for probably 2 years at least. Last year it was basically dried up the whole time, so that's a good sign. Yeah, I definitely haven't seen it this full in a long time. Yeah, we driving right over BT'd bean stubble and plenty solid. So that ditch there doesn't get extremely full unless we get a ton of rain. Last time that I remember it being extremely full was back in 2008. All of this down here was flooded out because the ditch was backed up, and this had like 2 feet of water over the top of it, all this low ground in here. And you can tell there was standing water in here too this week because some of the stubble has moved over, but same with down there. So if I came down here probably 2-3 days ago, that all had standing water in it. So that ditch was a lot fuller than it is now. This is one of our farms that has a lot of rocks on it, as you can clearly see here. So we also did get that tractor tuned. The guy was here this morning to do it. So now this tractor actually has, it's a little less than 245 now. So they pretty much have 2 of the same tractors, horsepower wise. But it's something we had to do because of the planter. In all reality, we didn't need as much as we got, but that's just kind of what happened when I got tuned. So well, it puffs a little smoke now. I set this how we usually set it last year, and I kind of like double checking where the bar level is, because the bar right here needs to be perfectly level. That's kind of how you measure to set where your 3-point is. Essentially, you want a little bit of a pitch back, so it puts a little bit more pressure towards the row units, but not much at all. Like, you want it pretty damn close to level, but if anything, you want to go back. So I'm gonna find a level click, and I kind of have a feeling that that is going to be impossible to find. In all honesty, it's sitting in front of me most likely right now. I'm just too blind to see it. And that big level ain't gonna do it. Oh yeah, too, these lights came in. These are the row lights for the planter, the underglow. Well, for the sake of, I don't really want to look for another one. This is what we're going to be left with, I guess. It's probably staring me in the face laughing at me right now. Yeah, well, that's basically right where we want it. Just a little bit back. Probably didn't need to check that, but just the stupid things that I like to check just to make sure they're right. Just satisfies my mind, I guess. So we'll also have to get the rest of the alternator, the pump for the alternator plumbed in. Just to recap on everything we did, because that video that I released, well, it's actually releasing today, but the working on the planter is kind of all over the place. I apologize about that. When I get focused on this, I just start going, and you know, I'm just kind of living in the moment a little bit, enjoying myself. So that's kind of why I kind of just didn't video as much as I wanted to. Plus, I think a lot of that stuff just gets monotonous after a while, just because it's the same exact thing 12 times over, basically. So I try to highlight it a little bit, but no, everything just seems very self-explanatory. So the upgrades that we did do to this, just to make it more clear, so we put speed tubes on, and then we also put Viaplay HD units on every single row, whereas we only had it every 3 or every 4 rows. So one unit would be controlling 4 rows, and then we'd have FlowSense on each row. So we wanted to get away from FlowSense because it was problematic for us. Not saying it doesn't work at all. It's problematic with us. It gave us too much problems, and we just wanted to simplify this. You know, so the fertilizer doesn't have to go through so many filters and so many different sensors and orifices and all that until it got to the row. So basically now, filter it out right there during fill. There's another filter up on the pump. So those are 2 filters so far. Well, those are 2 filters so far on the planter. We do filter it, you know, off the tank as well before it gets into even on board the planter at all. When we had the FlowSense on, we had 2 of these orifices. One with a, I don't remember what size screen they both were, but the ones going to the Viaplay HD unit were a little bit bigger. It was a little bit more big of a screen, and then the ones going to the FlowSense were a smaller micron. There's the word I was looking for. So now it's just one filter with a little bit bigger of a micron than what the FlowSense was. And it's just, with those things, the little turbines in the FlowSense, if you got really anything in those, they gum up and just wouldn't work. So, and that's just because of the starter that we used, or the tank mix we used for a starter, which we won't even use that now anymore. But we quit using it last year and we didn't have issues. But the FlowSense didn't respond with the Gen 3 very well. So I don't know if there was a software update we had to do or something along those lines, or some corruption between there and the Gen 3 maybe, but we weren't the only ones from the sounds of it that were having those issues. I don't know if it had anything to do with the HD units corresponding between the Gen 3 and the FlowSense. There could be a whole host of different ways that it could have been. I could just sit here and guess all day. That simplified it too, because it took a lot of filters and hoses, or lines I should say, not hoses but lines, off each of the row units, along with an orifice set and then the FlowSense, then another cord. But then, you know, where we got rid of one cord there, we added 3. So there's quite a bit of cording down there, but for the most part it stayed pretty clean. So still simple. Once you start taking cords away, or you know, kind of once you understand how the cords and all the lines are laid out, you kind of look at it and it's like, okay, this actually isn't as complicated as it looks. So this is just, I like building stuff. It's the one thing I do like a lot about us building our own planters. Now we know this thing in and out. This here. Here we go. Yeah. Or you just pull it. As well as just clean this one out, right, too. Check all the hydraulic hoses up in there too, where it folds. Make sure that none of them are getting junked. There that is. Alright, one thing I do want to check out here quick is the soil finisher. So I gotta put this tire on there yet. There's no problem. A lot of these are gonna have, this back row is all right. We'll be good on the back row. I don't know, a good chunk of these are gonna have to get replaced from what it looks like. So basically everything except for the back row is gonna get replaced. And it just all look bad. What I gotta do? Tire that, grease it, and that'll be ready to roll. I hope you all enjoyed the video. We will catch you in the next one.